Well, welcome everybody. You know, we had what will likely be the only presidential debate of the 2024 election cycle. I honestly hope we aren't subjected to another one. Honestly, if I have to watch another one, I'm going to really fear that I will do it with a lot of sharp objects by my side. I mean, the most obvious thing was that just when I did not think that a major TV network could disgrace itself and the field of journalism more than has already been done, ABC said, "Hold my beer and y'all watch this." I have said for years that a presidential debate shouldn't have so-called moderators. You know, those folks who control the questions in the flow of the conversation. Let the candidates ask each other the questions. Instead, we had two pathetic, very biased moderators who did everything they could to be the equivalent of phone-a-friend to Kamala Harris. I was amazed. They tried to correct Donald Trump, especially on the issue of whether any state allowed late-term or post-term abortion, when in fact it does happen. You know where it happens? In Minnesota, the state led by the Harris choice for Vice President, Tim Walsh, where there are no restrictions on abortion. And former Governor of Virginia, Ralph Northam, did exactly say that if a baby was born alive during a botched abortion, the doctor would just try to make it comfortable, while the medical staff stood by and allowed the live baby to die. But to be fair, it may not have been President Trump's best night. As someone who supports him, I believed he made the point clearly that the contrast between the America when he was president and the one under Biden and Harris meant that American families couldn't afford groceries and gas. And he forcefully pointed out that she had changed her position on pretty much everything, from fracking to extracting fossil fuels to mandatory gun buybacks to border security and eliminating health insurance and making all of us have government health care. But the moderators, they never pressed her on those issues, and she skillfully deflected repeatedly. And President Trump could have asked her directly the questions that the ABC crew wouldn't ask about what her actual positions were on all the issues that she has flip-flopped on worse than a dolphin at SeaWorld. She was totally untruthful, repeating long debunked lies about Donald Trump, such as his saying there were good people on both sides in Charlottesville. Never said that. Or that he was somehow responsible for the border mess. Or that Project 2025 was his plan, when in fact it never was. But the moderators never fact-checked her, not once. Now, President Trump never lost his cool, but he did spend more time than he should giving some repetitive details on Supreme Court decisions on Roe v. Wade, or maybe not showing a softer side as he did in the Biden debate. And I will begrudgingly give Kamala Harris credit for having very carefully prepared, much like an actress would for a stage play. She memorized her lines and delivered them much better than expected, because we're used to seeing her say ridiculous things and then cackling in an incomprehensible manner. She put out bait like a fishing boat captain chums bloody bait behind a boat while trolling from Arlen. And there were times that President Trump just couldn't help himself, and he took the bait. Now, he had the right answers, but at times he needed to hit the point and just move on. But he didn't appear to have prepared a pithy answer and then dropped the mic, as we know he can do. I'm not sure how many voters were moved one way or another, but the finish by President Trump was perhaps his best moment, when he asked her why, in the 3.5 years that she's been in office, she never did all those things that she claims she would now do. It really was the great reminder that she can't be trusted to do what she says now, because she spent her entire political life saying and doing the opposite. One thing it ought to remind us of: we can't afford to sit this one out. Every vote will matter, and that includes yours. Sharyl Attkisson is a rare breed in today's media because she is a fearless, hard-hitting, investigative journalist with a capital J. And she doesn't allow the media mafia to determine what she covers and which are the right questions to ask. So very thrilled to have her here. I want you to welcome the host of the public affairs show, Full Measure, and author of a brand new blockbuster book called Follow the Science. Give a big welcome to Sharyl Attkisson. Sharyl, I don't have many heroes in the field of journalism, but of the very small number of 2 or 3, you're at the top of the list, and I'm honored you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You have written a book called Follow the Science that, quite frankly, a lot of people don't want to let you talk about. Why are people so afraid of this book?
I think it exposes something that the public has long been familiar with, but for some reason our medical establishment, they don't want to talk about it. And I posit the reasons why with, I think, a lot of hard data and evidence. We're talking about, people know there's this corrupting relationship between the media and the pharmaceutical industry because the pharmaceutical industry buys advertising, spends billions of dollars, it can influence the content. We know the pharmaceutical industry influences our political figures by making donations to the top of both political parties so that they will not hold congressional hearings about certain topics. They're allowed to help write the laws and policies. But there's a really critical element that I don't think we've talked about enough, and the book explores that. Why the medical establishment doesn't seem to notice the explosion in chronic diseases that has happened under all of our noses in the past 20 years. They're treating it and throwing pills at it, but not looking at root causes, seeming to ignore it and not notice it all the way up to the federal agency level. And it's because of the same corrupting influences that I think are endemic in this whole system.
You know, I think it's fair to say, Sharyl, we don't have a health care system in America. We have a sick care system in America. It's not about getting people healthy. It's about treating the diseases. And it would appear, and I think this is the point you make, that there is evidence that indicates that some of the things that we are now faced with in a health crisis may be, at least in part, the result of over-medicating the American population. Is that a fair assessment?
I think so, absolutely. And so it's twofold. There can be problems that come with over-medicating the population, and in a related issue with all of the chemicals and pesticides in our ordinary food and our ordinary water and environment that the government not only approves but almost forces into our food supply. But there's the whole idea that when they're pushing medicine at us, they're not looking at the root cause to prevent these things from happening. And I argue this starts in medical school. The pharmaceutical industry actually writes what some people consider the most popular reference book for medical students. It's called the Merck Manual, written by the drug company Merck. So I look to see what the Merck Manual teaches young budding doctors about its own controversies, its payments of hundreds of millions of dollars to settle fraud charges and kickbacks and bribery, its allegedly dangerous drugs. Nothing in there about any of that. Doctors are frequently taught to look away, basically, when these problems arise, and that starts in medical school.
You know, you were famously a part of CBS for a long, long time, investigative reporter. You've won Emmys after Emmys after Emmys, and one day you said, that's it. Obviously, you saw something in the world of journalism that was troubling to you, and you became an independent journalist. What was it that made you realize that there's something very, very corrupt going on in what used to be an honorable profession of reporting?
Well, I left CBS about 10 years ago and lucked into the independent program that I host now, Full Measure. But I had tried to work those last couple of years within a very changing system, which we now recognize all as a sort of a bad, corrupt media environment, but it was switching over about that time. And I think because I was investigative reporting at CBS, I was on the front end of having the impact of this improper influence on our stories. It impacted me first.
Yeah.
It ultimately impacted everybody, but I saw this influence pretty early. And it started, believe it or not, around the 2003 time period when CBS assigned me to cover medical controversies. And we started getting pushback as the networks developed these partnerships for advertising with the drug companies, lobbying with them side by side before Congress to loosen up the rules that used to not permit drug advertising on TV. And at the same time, now looking back, one part of the news division wanted these high-impact stories about pharmaceutical dangers. We were all covering them. But there started to be this pushback about that time with other facets of the company saying, more or less, we don't like these stories and we shouldn't be doing them. And now, gosh, the pharmaceutical industry doesn't even have to reach into the newsrooms and censor because everybody self-censors. They understand where their bread is buttered. They don't even try to cover these stories anymore.
That is so disturbing because what you're really saying is that the pharmaceutical companies have so much power because they have so much money that they pretty much can dictate to news organizations, you don't touch the stories that might make us look bad because you're making money off us, we're making money off the people, everybody's making money, but the population is getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And that's really disturbing. Somebody needs to blow the whistle. That's what you've done with the book, Follow the Science. And I want to talk more with Sharyl Attkisson right after the break. And we're going to talk about what happened during COVID. Remember, we were told over and over, follow the science. We got to follow the science. Well, did we follow the science? Sharyl really exposes whether we did. You do not want to miss the second part of our conversation, and it's coming right after Keith tells us who else is on the show tonight.
Well, coming up, hear from country music artist Lorrie Morgan and experience the amazing juggling and sword-swallowing acts from Noah Roriak. Right here on Huckabee. Go to MikeHuckabee.com and sign up for his free newsletter and follow @GovMikeHuckabee on X.
Welcome back, everybody. We are back with award-winning journalist Sharyl Attkisson discussing the media's collusion with the medical and pharmaceutical establishment. This is the book. It's called Follow the Science. And Sharyl, that's exactly what we were told during COVID. Follow the science. Anthony Fauci stood up there every day and so we got to follow the science. And then it turned out the science wasn't there for all the stuff like wearing masks. We weren't supposed to wear them, then we were. Have a vaccine, it'll keep us from getting the virus. Turned out it didn't keep us from getting the virus. We were lied to.
Well, follow the science turned into sort of a code word for don't listen to your cognitive dissonance, don't do your own research, just do what we're telling you to do. And I think a lot of people were awakened during COVID who had never really thought about these broader issues that we're trying to attack now about our chronic health disorders and the corruption in our medical establishment. Most people, I think, were like I used to be. You think your doctors know all the best science. You can't imagine researchers wouldn't tell the truth. You think peer-reviewed published studies are the gold standard. And it turns out that even by those whistleblowers inside the industry, we know none of that is necessarily true.
The CDC, the FDA told us a lot of things during COVID that turned out not to be true. And you know, the sad part about that, we've lost faith in institutions that we need to have trust in. We need to believe they're telling us the truth. And I think most of us, after we experienced, we didn't know. You know, we're trying to follow the science. And it turns out they were just following the pharmaceutical companies and doing sort of what they were told. And that's disturbing.
It is. And I think one of the worst outcomes is, even though accountability was promised, and even though some of CDC's staunchest defenders, and even a friend of Dr. Fauci's told me that after the debacle of COVID, that whole agency needs to be blown up from bottom to top, nothing's happened. In fact, every year since then, Congress has given them huge budget increases. So if nobody's been held accountable, what's to be different next time?
I mean, it's only Rand Paul, seems like the one lonely voice crying in the wilderness who's still trying to get some accountability. There's an interesting part of your book. You talk about how the Amish population did everything differently than the science was telling them to do. They didn't close down. They didn't quit interacting with each other. They had an incredibly different result. And I want you to describe what the Amish did and how different their results were when they were supposed to be all dying off because they didn't follow the science they were told.
Well, they lived normal life. They allowed COVID to run through rather rapidly rather than stave it off with shutdowns. They made more money as a society that year than they'd ever made because they didn't close, they didn't shut their schools, they didn't test for COVID, they didn't vaccinate, they didn't go to hospitals. And their death outcome is arguably better, but definitely no worse. It's hard to get firm stats because they didn't do autopsies and have death results that said whether it was COVID or not. But you can look at the overall death rate and see that if they did nothing and yet fared better than we did when we destroyed our economy, destroyed our schools, spent all the money, used experimental vaccines, wow, what a better approach they had. But a great postscript to this is, after that story came out, which I did on Full Measure, some other reporters did it as well, the government funded a study that I think was designed to smear and debunk it. And when I dug into the study, I knew what they was trying to imply wasn't true, and I started challenging it. This was a work of propaganda, as many studies are today. And after a year of me challenging this study that tried to imply the Amish actually fared worse, finally I heard in the last few days that they're issuing corrections, multiple corrections to this peer-reviewed published study. A little late, because most doctors who read the original study aren't going to go back and look at the corrections, but at least I'm glad we were able to force corrections. My question is, who are the peer reviewers?
Yeah.
Why didn't the journal articles see, the journals itself that do their reviews, why didn't they see these flaws? This is not an uncommon story.
RFK Jr. Has been, just roundly criticized. People think he's a kook and he's a nut. He's been on this show, and I found him to be a fascinating individual, well-studied. He has said for a long time, he's not an anti-vaxxer. That's not fair. But he is saying that there needs to be very thorough research, especially about children. And is there a question of autism rates? Does it have something to do with vaccine? Is that one of the third rail? You can't touch that issue and ask that question?
It is, and when you start as a reporter, see how a logical issue that should be followed is treated very strangely and differently in a way that defies common sense, you know these factions are at play. I went down the autism vaccine road because I was assigned to cover some of these stories at CBS and was shocked, as most people are when they dig in, to find there are peer-reviewed published studies that make a link, that the government has long ago acknowledged the link between vaccines and autism in court cases that it tried to have sealed so that nobody would find out they'd made these settlements. There are studies that the government, according to a whistleblower who currently works at CDC, where they tried to trash data, literally threw data in a trash can because it linked Black boys in Atlanta to higher rates of autism after certain vaccinations. There are a bunch of these stories that the government continually and the establishment tries to cover up and pretending that there's no link or the links have been disproven, which is not the case.
This book is getting some real pushback. A lot of television networks, some that we like, won't let you come talk about this because they make too much money selling ads to the pharmaceutical companies. Are you surprised that it's that blatant to try to protect the advertising dollars?
I'm not. And I think when HarperCollins asked me to look at this topic, I think we knew that would be the case. Maybe a little surprised that it's how roundly the TV places that rely on pharmaceutical ads have rejected it, which is okay, because we have other places. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
But it's to be expected. This is how the system is run, and they don't really care that you know it. They simply don't want this information to get out and be heard in a fair forum.
We want to make sure it does get out, and this is the book. It's Sheryl's latest bestseller, Follow the Science. And I really believe that if you have an interest in why were things done like they were during COVID, she gives an explanation that will disturb you, but it will also make you be a little more prepared. The next time the government tells us to follow the science, we'll ask whose science and who's paying for it, and we'll have a much better picture of it. If you want to keep up with her on social media, simply go to Huckabee.tv, click on her guest page, we will connect you, and I hope you'll get the book, Follow the Science. Speaking of science, our resident scientist, Keith Bilbrey, is following all the science, and he's made an amazing discovery. He's found out who's coming up next. Keith, what did you find?
Oh, it's amazing. After the break, Mike sits with country legend Lorrie Morgan. And later, we catch up with the stars on the red carpet for Matt Walsh's Am I Racist movie. You don't want to miss it.
Well, when troubles hit our hope and it seems all lost, Samaritan's Purse, they're there, bringing hope and healing to those who are in need. From emergency relief to long-term recovery, Samaritan's Purse is on the front lines, offering not just physical support, but spiritual healing through the hopeful message of Jesus Christ. I hope you'll consider joining Samaritan's Purse in making a real difference for people who desperately need it. Your financial support empowers lives, transforms communities, and spreads compassion in Jesus' name. And you can give today. It's real simple. Scan the QR code that's right there on your screen, or visit their website and give them a call. Together with Samaritan's Purse, we can truly bring hope and healing to the world, and I hope you will. Thanks, and God bless. Well, Lorrie Morgan is a CMA winner, a Grammy nominee, the first female country singer to start her career with not one or two, but 3 consecutive platinum albums. And her greatest hits album went double platinum. Full disclosure, when we wanted a fabulous entertainer to headline my inaugural ball in 1999, we brought Lorrie Morgan, who knocked 'em dead. To mark her 40th anniversary as a Grand Ole Opry member, she's released a brand new album called Dead Girl Walking. She's going to perform that later, but first, I wanted to talk to her about her amazing life and career. We are so glad to have her back on our show. Give a big welcome to Lorrie Morgan.
Thank you so much.
It has been too long since you have been with us. Thanks for coming back.
I know it's been so long. I missed it.
Well, this is kind of a big time for you, 40 years in the Opry.
40 years.
I mean, that's
can't
a big
believe
deal.
it.
That is a big deal.
It is a big deal. It's, and when they said you're coming up on your 40th anniversary, I was like, no way. I mean, it just felt like it was yesterday, sitting there dreaming that maybe I'd get to sing a song on the Opry one day.
And it's not lost on me that you were the youngest female inducted into the Opry at the time you went in, and
Yes,
that's another big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, you were quite young and starting out, and very few people get to be a member of the Opry that early in a career.
You're exactly right. And I was, me and Justin Tubb, Ernest Tubb's son,
Wow.
we were the only 2 Opry members who have ever been made a member of the Opry without a hit record. But I bugged them so much. They were like, okay. I mean, I was at Hal Durham's door every day, practically, and outside his office saying, can I please be a member? Can I please be a member? And finally, in 1984, I went out to Los Angeles and was on I think it was the AMA Awards show.
Yeah.
And when I came back, my big surprise from Hal was, we're going to make you a member next week. And I'm like, wow.
Good for you.
And it's truly been the highlight of my career. And I have had many blessings in my career. I really have. But that holds the #1 spot for me.
Well, I think it's great that you're still making hit records, and this one that you have.
I'm
Dead
trying to
Girl
make hit
Walking.
records.
Well, but you are. Your voice is strong, and you're always considered one of the most powerful female voices in Nashville. You've been considered that forever. And, when I hear you, I'm thinking you hadn't lost a bit. You still...
Well, thank you. I had some vocal issues this past year. I don't know what happened. I'd never had vocal issues like that before, but the good Lord just kind of showed me what to do and told me to shut up and quit talking and let it heal. And so...
Only God could tell a woman
family,
to do that.
Right.
No way. Nobody else could ever do that.
My family was very happy. Mom has to shut up, okay?
And I'm looking at your life and I'm thinking, what drives you? What is it that just makes you want to keep doing music, doing albums? A lot of people would say, I'm going to retire, give it up.
Well, you know what? I almost did. I almost retired. And I started thinking that would be a lonely place for me to be. I have such a wonderful band, and they're so supportive of me. they're fun to be on the road with. We laugh, we pray together, we don't just play together. And that means a lot to me. And I think, I just kept thinking, without music, I would be a sad person. And so I kind of rethought everything, regrouped. I know that the band is solid and we're out there together, and that makes a big difference. When you're lonely out on the road, all you can think about is, I want to go home, I want to go home. And I do want to go home, believe me, but they make it so much better for me. They're a great group of people. I'm probably giving them too much credit.
No,
they'll probably quit tomorrow, but...
I think it's a wonderful thing that you are giving tribute to the band. So many times people don't acknowledge those who are the support that make it all work.
Well, they're
But
great.
you know what we're excited about? The entire band is with you tonight, and a little later in the show, we're going to get to see all of you and hear that great new song, Dead Girl Walking.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited about it, too.
We are excited you're here. So don't go away, because Lorrie Morgan's going to be back to sing that new single, and you're going to love it. In the meantime, Keith Bilbrey is going to tell us what's coming up next. Keith, it's all yours.
Well, prepare to be amazed. Up next, Noah Royak juggles his way to the stage. Then we hit the star-studded red carpet premiere of Am I Racist? You're watching Huckabee.
And welcome back, everybody. Noah Royak has appeared on America's Got Talent and the Science Channel's Street Science. He has performed all over the world, and he was named the 2021's Juggler of the Year. He also holds the Guinness World Record for sword swallowing and juggling combined. That seems a little weird to me, to combine those two things, but he does it. Needless to say, kids, don't try this at home. In fact, don't try this anywhere else. Would you please brace yourselves for Noah Royak? Noah, welcome.
Thank you for having me. So I figured we'd get started with a little team act. Everyone likes danger. Yeah, perfect. So
Trey
we'll go ahead.
loves it.
Does he? Great.
I'll pass.
Now, the ancient art form of sword swallowing, it took me 5 years to learn how to do this. I've been performing it for 2 years. That has nothing to do with it. I assure you, it's not a numbing spray. Not a numbing spray at all. I can feel everything that's about to happen.
I would need more than a spray to get me to stick that thing down my throat.
Now, it's going to be a team bit, so you'll know what to do when the time is right.
What do you mean a team thingy? I
You're
don't
going to
use-
help me out, Governor. Yes.
Y'all pray for me and him.
If I could have complete silence, please.
Don't do that. We'll be bringing the crash cart out here. Okay.
Okay, serious. Here we go.
Get out. Oh, this is disgusting. Oh my gosh. Are you bleeding? Are you okay?
Okay.
Okay.
That's perfect.
That
Now-
was weird.
Super duper weird. I figured since it is Huckabee, let's take it up a notch with the danger. Am I right, everybody? Great.
Uh-huh. Oh. Okay.
Thank you so much for helping out. Now,
Yes.
you won't believe what this next act is going to consist of.
Oh, good, because I didn't believe the other ones either.
Maestro, hit that track going through it. That's step one. This is step two right here. Hi, Mom. Now, everyone loved the danger so much, so we'll take it up a notch here.
Okay.
Governor, could you hold on to these hula hoops?
Just hold them?
Just like that.
All right.
Great job. Now, that is a live taser. Governor, we'll trade.
Okay.
You hold on to those 3 dangerous objects.
Yes.
I'll have you stand right over here.
Okay.
You're going to hand them to me, all 3 together. Take 1 step back.
Okay.
Perfect. Another step back.
Okay.
Perfect. This is going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
Governor, if you would.
You want a knife?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, 1 at a time.
You want
Thank you.
another knife? And you want a taser?
Thank you, Governor.
Okay.
Run away over.
And I'm getting out of the way.
Governor!
Oh, you want me to get the knives? I guess I need to get
Put 'em
those.
back. It's okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
I was afraid you were going to tase me. I didn't want to get near you.
No. I would never tase you. Oh my gosh. Now for the fun part. Oh. Sucking in. Now, if only there was a way out of these blasted tennis rackets.
Oh!
Now it is time for the grand finale.
Okay.
Governor, you probably don't want to be over here. It's about to get wild and crazy. If you
stay
would
away.
like to. Yes,
I will
perfect.
stay away. Oh, hey, to follow Noah Royak online and to book his Nerdy Noah show for your company, college, or cruise, just go to Huckabee.tv. Right now, Keith has been over there juggling a lot of great guests on this show, so he's going to tell you what's coming up next. Keith?
Follow that act. Well, after the break, come with me to Pickens, South Carolina, this week's edition of Our Kind of Town. Then don't miss Lorrie Morgan's performance of Dead Girl Walking on Huckabee. Join Huckabee next week for activists and filmmakers Robbie and Landon Starbuck and music from Craig Campbell.
Well, one of the things we love at the show is, and everybody who comes as our guest says this, that band is fantastic. You know, they really are. Trey Corley and the Music City Connection, they are fantastic. Best in the land. Well, summer is over and I'm ready to go somewhere just to relax and enjoy all the trappings of a wonderful small town. I'm thinking of a place with lots of character and fun things to do. Our very own Keith Bilbrey has found the perfect city to do just that.
Nestled between the Blue Ridge Mountains and the Piedmont is the town of Pickens, South Carolina. Pickens isn't just a town. It's a living scrapbook of days gone by, loaded with charming architecture and timeless landmarks. Nature enthusiast, get ready for an adventure. Conquer the majestic Table Rock Mountain, offering breathtaking views. Glide through the crystal clear waters of Lake Keowee, or savor the magnificent vistas from Sassafras Mountain. Stroll the peaceful paths of Haygood Mills Historic Site, where history and nature intertwine like old friends. Now let's talk food. Pickens is just loaded with all kinds of restaurants that will satisfy anyone's culinary cravings. Oh, and your nose will direct you to the Porkette Barbecue joint that will tantalize your taste bud with the smoky goodness of the South. I love me some barbecue. Need a quick pick-me-up? There are 3 roasted bean emporiums, or dive into the sweet world of Be Well Honey. Pickens comes alive with vibrant events like the annual Azalea Festival, bursting with color and community spirit. There are cool rides, classic cars everywhere, and tasty food and treats. A local favorite for all ages and kind of a big deal. But it doesn't end there. The fun continues throughout spring and summer with free concerts at the amphitheater on Main Street. As autumn descends, the Appalachian Folk Festival takes center stage, featuring fiddles, food, and artisan crafts. The perfect way to spend a fall weekend. In the heart of Pickens, creativity flourishes with local music venues that groove to jazz, country, and bluegrass. Take a stroll along Main Street, where antique shops hold treasures from the good old days. Family fun awaits at Doodle Park and Trail. Let the kids play, take a walk, and enjoy a bicycle ride on the 9-mile paved path. But don't venture too far. There's plenty more to explore in Pickens. You'll want to visit the Market at the Mill, one of the largest indoor flea markets in the region. You could easily spend a half-day treasure hunting here. And after all that, you can rest up with a stay at the historic Hampton House. Pickens offers a tapestry of experiences that will stay with you forever. And that's why Pickens, South Carolina is our kind of town.
All right, any place that has that many classic cars and great barbecue has my vote. Looks like a great place to visit. We'd like to thank the city of Pickens and the Pickens County Historical Society for their hospitality. And for information on how you can plan your trip to Pickens, South Carolina, visit pickens.org. Well, earlier this week, Matt Walsh held the world premiere of his new film, Am I Racist? Our senior producer, Jeremy Weber, got the scoop when he hit the red carpet at the star-studded event.
That's right, Governor, except the traditional red carpet that would typically be rolled out at an event like this has been replaced tonight with a black carpet in honor of the film that has everyone asking, am I racist?
Am I racist? Why do you judge by the color of our faces? Is racial division just a plan by the matrix? They burn down our cities, then they get called courageous. Instead of condemning the media, give them praises. Oh man, what is the benefit? When the media ruin our images. If you a white male, you get called a white supremacist.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate Matt's messy man bun in this film?
Few men could pull it off. I won't say whether Matt is one of the few.
It's a 9.5. It's messy.
In real life, it's a 0 out of 10, but for the movie, it's an 11.
Oh, I mean, it's a solid man bun.
In general, I'm anti-man bun, but I thought he pulled it off well.
Listen, I'm the producer, one of the guys who came up with the idea to put him in a disguise, but he chose that man bun, and I think it's a 10 out of 10.
It's not very sophisticated, but that's understandable because Matt's trying to discover whether or not he's racist.
I would say he gets at least a 7.2. He's pretty good. He's not. He needs to lose a little weight.
I think I wear it well, I got to say.
We have others that we talked to tonight that would disagree with that, but
who said that?
Right.
Who said that?
A few people.
I'll find them right now.
Watch our show this weekend.
I'm going to kick them out. They don't deserve to be here.
Well, let's talk a little bit about his ability, though, to go in with some satire and some humor, and obviously something that is a very serious subject.
Yeah. Well, there are a few people that I enjoy listening to about touchy, difficult, cultural issues than Matt Walsh.
I need to watch this stone-cold psychopath, Matt Walsh, hold up a mirror to these left-wing con artists and reveal this farcical scam.
It's great that he did it with a light touch. and to use satire, which is a very, very effective rhetorical weapon.
To see someone on the right come out and be able to pull off a Borat-type documentary like this is it's pretty amazing.
And all props to Matt for doing something unique. It's never really been tried before on the right. It's pretty incredible.
I think very wisely, Matt didn't make an informational documentary. He made a true comedy.
Why do you think it's important for everybody to come see this film?
It's important to come see this film because you are going to be confronted with such harsh truths, and I think a lot of people coming to see the film will already understand those truths. You'll be confronted with them through comedy and through laughter, which is not only the best medicine, but is also the best teacher.
Because this nation has been captured by insane people who want to destroy the country.
And I'm glad that this movie can make light of that situation and show how crazy it really is, and how crazy the people that push it on you, they are crazy.
Through satire and ridicule, you can also often make points that you can't through straight logic.
And he goes in there, you get to see some new things. You get to learn, you get to laugh. It's a good combination.
I hope that this film accomplishes breaking through to the other side and showing we're in a fight of the reasonable against the unreasonable.
Do you think this will be a big topic for the election?
Well, I think it already is, right? I mean, I think Kamala Harris, you can argue, is the ultimate DEI candidate. She's never accomplished anything, and I think based on her race and sex, has been elevated to an incredibly high level.
She has said she wants to infuse every aspect of her administration with equity, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Bringing that to the fore and then laughing at it is really, really important. And I think that you'll see a lot of blowback from the left for us even taking on the issue.
I mean, Kamala is running on no platform, and so therefore she's running on DEI. Because DEI is not a platform. It's fiction. It's total nonsense.
You know, everyone complains about woke Hollywood and all that kind of stuff, which I understand the complaints, but if we want less of that and more of films that reflect our values and have a message we support, then you got to go out and support it. And by the way, we'll reward you with a really entertaining film.
Well, thank you, Jeremy. And I hope you'll tune in to Huckabee in 2 weeks. Matt Walsh is going to be my guest right here in the studio. Am I Racist is in theaters right now. It's a must-see. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll consider clicking the subscribe button below and the notification bell next to it so you don't miss any of our future videos when they go up online.